I look arena, where you been so long? Oh, look arena, where you been so long? I pray every night since you've been gone. Oh, little darling, where you been so long? Oh, little darling, where you been so long? stops or walk you to your door. You say goodnight like 1,000 times before. This is the night I just want you to know.
Yananat Horoya, Le Nidia, Chedits at the no hada, Kissy. A Hehan Kedini, the Nasi Yego, Horoya, Shilino, the Nebanant and Hanslon, Hojenahu Jisho. Dean Jinda and Nishkone Yat Nanketishito, Shana Nishadat, Egida, Ben Kitnash Negi, Hahat Ole, Sibohone, Tlon Horohada, Kissigi, Shilin, hot Rekes Bahosen. The never Washington, no highlight oil was Haila Ben Nada and Nisto, Haila na Nishanada, Nenegi, Hahat Ole, Shilin Horoya, Sebagan Hot Zando, Hanen Kitchena Nestle. Ado sashin hamasanadon hit shade and denigi ben kitnashne at ended the neck etche yat higido hodobe kitnashnegi the destinstand of son le KTN do KJK do KNDN do NTU do the neck college radio aj begin national special besha khati adits age at in benish anito the neck etche ben kitnashne Hodoshin Sate Belaganek Etchedo, Neck Etcha, Ashanash Nefaehoto, just the Aro Daisultangi, to the Nedadits at the Dohni, Dashadohnile, Ebinina, Sata Siego, Belaganek Etcher, a hot end, Beshat Khatedits, Igia Siego, Apinesh, Anito, Neck Etcharo, Ben Kesnashni Arashi, Sahat Hadato Kisode at Era Lode. A core, Hehan, Gedini Doles, Aro, Hodoshin, upcoming holidays or appreciation days. I know it's the 75th Navajo Nation Fair. We are out and about in our community and really trying to move our initiatives forward. So it is one of those things where we're very careful to make sure that we provide the best Navajo Nation Fair this coming year round. So I told my staff, the Department of Natural Resources, Department of Agriculture, and all the organizations related to it from the executive branch that say, you know what, let's make it a fair that we will never forget. So I'm glad I just walked the grounds just now. I see that there's turf out on the powwow grounds, turf out on the song and dance, and some of the roads are covered in chip seal. I noticed that those are some of the millings that we were able to secure from New Mexico Department of Transportation, and we're test running on some of those roads within the fairgrounds. So again, thank you to all the volunteers. Thank you to the Navajo Nation employees, the sponsors, the enterprise, for putting this fair together. So again, I look forward to seeing you out on the fairgrounds. This morning I was out there at the Youth Day. I'm going to be headed out to the Elder Day here in a few minutes. And I just want to say thank you and enjoy, be safe, be careful. It's hot and it's also going to be cold too, because I know the parade's on Saturday. So let's make sure you're dressed for the early morning chills and the hot heat in the afternoon, and then into the evening it's going to get a little chilly. So Siego da Hafyan Hasi, the desk, Zoda de Studio, the Ehot Obahadam Senegal. And today, if you're still craving some lunch, up till 3 p.m. barbecue, free barbecue at the barbecue pavilion. So come on over there and head over there. But if you're really hungry, there's a 4 p.m. fried chicken eating contest at 4 p.m. So if you're still feeling a little hungry, you can kind of head on over there and compete. The All Indian Rodeo begins tonight at 7 p.m. And tonight is Megadeth, 9 p.m. as well. I know there's a lot of you out there that are classic heavy metal fans. So be safe, be careful, enjoy the show tonight. And also on Saturday, the parade lineup is going to start up at 6 a.m. So make sure you travel early so you're not stuck in traffic and you miss the whole parade. So myself, the vice president, first lady, and our staff and our divisions, we're going to be all out there. So look for the people in yellow on Saturday. So again, thank you. And also it's International Literacy Day, which is tomorrow, September 8th. September 8th. So continue to encourage yourself, continue to encourage your young ones, your kids, and it's okay to read to them. It's okay to read to them. That's one of the things I like to do with my daughter is I like to read those books that come from IHS. Some of you parents know those Navajo books, right? baby learns time, you know what I mean? Things like that. Na os keligi beni nache away yeja la yirdos asha nora njono nekeche khada del yago. Even though my daughter doesn't speak Navajo or speak English, she speaks baby gibberish, but it's just the intent and really being there for your children to at least sit down and read to them a couple times a day, in the morning, the afternoon, a couple times in the evening before they go to sleep. And that's one of the things that's going to really help with their development as they're growing up. And then even if you're a lot older like me too, don't be afraid to pick up a book and read. And continuous learning is good for everybody. So that's tomorrow. Local announcements. I think this past week we lost a very Friday, September 1st, last Friday. We lost a very influential leader, for Navajo Nation leader, who helped the Navajo people. Former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, also a congressman, passed away at 75 years old. I know that I've had brief discussions with him when I was at the NTU commencement. And one of the things he told me is, I'm always forever indebted to the Navajo people for getting me elected as a congressman, because they took the chance on me. I was out in chapter houses, I was at the fairs, I was at the agencies, and they elected me as their congressman. And I always can forever be indebted for all the stories and the struggles that they told me. And he carried that through, always being a congressman, a governor, a secretary, and even till up to his passing, he was constantly coming back to the Navajo Nation to provide shoes, to provide assistance and things like that. So again, thank you to him and his family. And then also as a leader, he was very instrumental in the San Juan River water rights negotiations and making that happen. So again, forever indebted to Governor Richardson. Thank you to his family. Thank you to his loved ones for allowing such a good leader to be a champion for Navajo people. So yesterday was also another great day. We had the signing of the Navajo Nation Victim Rights Act of 2023. It was an honor to sign off on that because, as I mentioned yesterday in the press conference, I am not going to hesitate when it comes to supporting our women, supporting and making sure that protected, making sure that they feel safe. And I feel like the Navajo Nation Victim Rights Act just does that. It elevates it to make sure that we can work on it. As the Honorable Amber Crotty mentioned yesterday, it's taken 3 administrations to get this done. And I had no hesitation to sign off on it because being a girl dad, right? My daughters too. And then they got another little girl on the way. And then my wife is a strong attorney, strong former state representative, first lady, and being raised by my mom and my grandma. As president, I will always continue to fight and advocate for what's right. And what's right is we got to make sure we can continue to update our laws so we can protect our people. And so that was an exciting event. So if you want to hear the full speeches from everybody, you can look at our Facebook feed, look at some of the photos from earlier to hear all the speakers. Thank you to Delegate Crotty. Honorable Speaker Curley was there. Honorable Casey Johnson was there. So thank you for them. And advocates from Utah Navajo Health System was also out there too. And other champions that have been fighting for this for many administrations since President Begay's administration. So it's good that we finally got this across the street. And I had my signature and now it's signed into law. And then yesterday, right? Yesterday evening was a good evening. So it was 5:30, 6 o'clock after work. I really wanted to see if you had time to quickly change into your clothes and do a little bit of exercising with the president. We had the President Nygren's fitness challenge yesterday. One minute of planks, a 1 mile run, 25 push-ups and 25 sit-ups. That's why my lungs are still a little tired because it's been a long time since I ran an 8:30 miles. So it kind of kicked my butt a little bit. So I've been coughing along all day long. So again, but it was exciting. My finishing time was 11 minutes and 55 seconds. So what really got to me was the push-ups. I didn't realize how hard push-ups were after running a quick mile, and I was like barely 5 at a time. And then the sit-ups were 5 at a time as well, but we got it done. And the purpose behind that was to really just make it fun. All ages, all walks of life. They're really continuing to take care of one another, continuing to make sure that the health and well-being of you is the most important thing that you can take care of every single day. 1 mile a day, whether it's walking or running or just a little bit of exercise, will really help within your personal life to move initiatives forward. So, and also thank you to Tom Rickenbach with Navajo Yes for supporting us and helping us out yesterday. So it was a wonderful event. It was well over 60 people that attended. We also had Navajo police recruits, the brand new recruits who ran with us, and so that was exciting to see them in yellow and to see them running and having a hard time. But we had two legendary finishers, though. I forgot their name right off the top of my head, but one came in at 7 minutes and 36 seconds. The other came in at 7 minutes and 55 seconds. So if you look at the ranking, they're considered legendary. So we took a photo of them, and we're going to really start a photo collage here in the president's office to showcase the people that come under 8 minutes. And one was from Diné College, and one was going to school in Washington as well, too. So young, fantastic gentlemen who really take their health and physical fitness seriously. So under 8 minutes, that's many kudos. They had to run a 5-something-minute mile and pump out push-ups and sit-ups as quickly as possible. So again, it was exciting, and we're going to host one in Shiprock during the Shiprock Fair. So hope to see you there and take on that challenge with us as well. And also we had another announcement is NAU, Northern Arizona University, reported the highest number of Native students enrolled in its history. So many kudos to NAU for bringing along a lot of our Navajo students, and I think it's due to the free tuition. If you're a Navajo, whether you live in New York City, England, or Russia, or wherever, you can come to NAU as long as you're enrolled CIB with the Navajo Nation, and your tuition will be free regardless of income, which is that's a great testament to NAU's commitment to Navajo people and Indigenous people. So again, thank you for that, NAU, and your leadership. I know Dr. Rivera, the president, is a great gentleman as well. And also now kind of reporting some of the missing people. I know this is always a heartache for all of us. We've got a 17-year-old, Delilah Woody, was last seen September 3rd on Sunday, 5'5", 130 pounds. She was wearing sweatpants. If you see her, call Tuba City Police, 928-283-3111. 19-year-old Buu Nygren was last seen Sunday, August 20th, 2023 in Counselor, New Mexico. He was wearing a black T-shirt and blue jeans, 5'7", about 170 pounds. If you know of his whereabouts, please call Crown Point Police, 505-786-2050. I know when it comes to this, Diego, Bekedan, Denigi, Petahasato, Chihadabantrado, Chetinan, Tahos, Neho, Pejedan is Jebeke Hadin Trahigi, Ashon Dalsanda, Anle Salabich, the Hatosneto, Hodi Sandet, that don't know the Hajobe, but in the Hasneto. Again, just thank you. Thank you for that. This time in history, this is we always find this entertaining because it's always good to think back and look about the history in this time. So Uncle Sam gets his name about 210 years ago on September 7, 1813. The United States got its nickname of Uncle Sam. And Samuel Wilson supplied barrels of beef to the United States Army during the War of 1812. And since then, it's been earmarked as Uncle Sam. So again, it's a fun fact that you should know about. Now moving on, life lesson. This one's you can't just dream about success. You have to wake up and do something about it. Stephen Covey. I know that's what the author of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In Navajo, the way I translated it is Arat obansen kesedo dit o de shlis bayan ke benon naden naho le benyenan na benyenan lish do beketnan now yan nehi njono adili. And those are some of the things I think about. And you translate it, you hear those words every single day from our elders. But it's good to see this quote from Stephen Covey as well. And then moving on, the week's accomplishments. Again, this was one of those sad scenarios. We phone calls we get every single day. My office is open 5 days a week, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I tell my people, be here 7:30 and be ready to go. The doors open at 8 o'clock and be ready to work till 5:30. And so one of our staff assistants, John Sosi, works on MMIP and family issues, received a phone call, and it really touches my heart, and very sad. We had a family. The mom and dad were killed in an accident. So they left 5 children from 6 years old to 6 years of age to 20 years old. And they were in a terrible accident, and they reached out to us for some help. They needed some food, water, clothing, some school supplies. And I'm just very grateful that the Office of the First Lady was able to supply some donations, and that they're working on bedding and supplies and really trying to make sure that we're there for them. And we're really going to try to make sure that we continue to work on trying to get them a home over at NXA. And if you want to help and assist this family, don't hesitate to reach out to John Sosi here in my office at 928-871-7000. Losing both parents is very devastating, especially for some young children. So again, it's heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, but I know as Navajo people, we tend to come together and help the ones that are misfortunate. So again, I wanted to bring that to your light, that we, Office of the First Lady, did do what they can to help that family out. And then moving on, the Navajo Nation Tax Commission raised revenues for the Navajo Nation. The Office of Navajo Tax Commissioner reported it collected $662,000 last week in tax revenue. This came from the Navajo Nation sales tax, business activity tax, tobacco products tax, and oil and severance tax, and fuel excise tax. For September, the Navajo Nation Tax Commission expects fourth quarter to bring in $23.5 million from all these taxes. The commission has exceeded its tax projections for the first 3 quarters of 2023. So again, many kudos to the new tax director, Effie City, and her staff, working hard every single day. And I know that reopening the Navajo Nation really kickstarted a lot of this. I get a lot of phone calls every single day. President, thank you for reopening the Navajo Nation, because we're able to get food, we're able to move around. People are coming back to our stands. People are buying more stuff. There's more activities happening. And I appreciate that. The other one is Veteran Administration breaks ground on the first veteran home. So the home went under Director Bobby Ann Baldwin. First Home and Families and Northern Agency. They submitted their application well over 10 years ago. They're married. They've got 3 kids. And as I've made my commitment to my staff and my team, is let's prepare ourselves the first couple of quarters, and then that way we can really excel and move, and the people will start to see the results that we're doing. And this is only the beginning. I'm glad to see that one veteran is going to, the ground is broken and they're starting on their home. And after this, more and more veterans will be getting their homes. Again, people have submitted their applications decades ago, and a lot of them have lost applications, and we're constantly trying to digitize them, save them, making sure that they're saved to the cloud, and so that they don't ever get lost again. So again, thank you to the Veteran Administration for working on that. And also thank you to the Navajo Police for multiple drug busts last week. I know they've made multiple arrests in Tuba City and in Crown Point and Kayenta. They've lots of fentanyl, methamphetamine, marijuana, handguns, body armor, paraphernalia, and cash was collected, about $20,000. And so many kudos to the K9 unit of our Navajo Nation Police Department, because all of you have told me, President, we want to be able to have safer communities, and that starts with making sure that we get drugs off the streets and keep our streets safer. So again, thank you to the Navajo Nation Police Department for doing their work. Also, we had 11 new police officers graduate from the police academy. So many kudos to our people that wanting to become police officers, because it's very, very, very difficult to have a police officer on the Navajo Nation. So every one police officer is very hard to get to. So we got to treat them like royalty. Make sure that when you see police officers, shake their hand, because the decline of police officers has been in decline well before me. So again, as your president, I know that it's been declining since well over before my time, and our goal is to try to increase that moving forward now. So with some of the initiatives that I have with Michael Anderson and his team to try to get that ball rolling. So again, if you're interested in becoming a police officer, 928-674-2524. Again, I know we started a little late, so I got 2 more minutes. So I'm going to kind of close up here. Division of Economic Development is fixing past problems. I know that Director Skorlanis has been working on this tirelessly to try to fix these issues. And I know that one of the initiatives that try to use ARPA dollars to help our small business and our larger businesses with funding from ARPA hardship program. So he's revamped that program, and he's looking forward to relaunching in October. So reach out to that office and try to check up on your application as well to make sure that you're in line to get some hardship assistance for those small business owners and business owners. The other thing is Mr. Skrilanis is finally collected some tax from the Antelope Point Marina, and it's a long-standing, well before many predecessors. So I'm glad that we finally put that to bed. It's worth about $6 million, and we're going to use some of those funds to really increase and make things happen for our community. Some meet and greets. Yesterday I met with Tom Skrlinkis, president of Fort Lewis College in Durango. He also ran too. He's pretty fast. He ran it in 10 something. So he's pretty quick as well. So thank you to President Tom for coming out and participating, not only coming here to meet with me, but participating in the fitness challenge. And one of the discussions we had is there's a handful of CPAs that I think about that are Navajo. They've all graduated from Fort Lewis. So I asked them, I was like, you know what? Right now, my controller is the only person that's a CPA within the Navajo Nation. And so I want to really increase that and start pumping out, have a pipeline of CPAs coming out of Fort Lewis College. So let's have those discussions. I love to see 4 or 8 CPAs within the Office of Controller over the next couple of years. So that's a goal that we have. We also had the Navajo Nation Washington office. You'll hear from Justin here in a little bit. Thank you for their work. Tom Rickenbog was also here, really trying to push some of his trail initiatives. I'm completely behind Navajo. Yes, do what we can to help and support them. I was also out and about at the Miss Navajo Traditional Foods Contest. It's good to see our 2 young ladies fighting for what's right and really vying to be Miss Navajo. So let's continue to encourage. Let's continue to be positive. Let's continue to have words of affirmation that make people better. That's the only way we can really promote our language, our culture, and our ways of life, is that we got to encourage. And that's the fundamental thing about being Navajo. You know what I mean? I say, Yego, nte, Palaho biniga, o inle. You know what I mean? I don't ever remember an elder telling me, hey, tasinte, tahiante, neskoye, o sinta, o tobiga hante, na, haishinadote. I've never heard that. So I know a lot of you are listening. You probably never heard that, but you heard the opposite though. Yego nada na ins na huinte hojo bat ninte hajo de nebansen kes hajoyans ke ala ba hunzen. You know, those are the things that we've all been raised with, and we got to continue to use those teachings. And also, I was at last Saturday. I was at the ranch out in Flagstaff Loop area. Well over 1,200 Christians were there. And within the Division of Social Services, we're trying to start a new program. It's called the Interfaith. Work with not only our Christians, our churches, but our Native American church people, our traditional people, and really bringing them together and figure out how can we use Navajo Nation resources to support them. Because at the end of the day, however you pray is what's important to you and your family. Continue to pray. Prayer is the fundamental thing of how we get a lot of things done. So as president, I've always said, you know what? I support every religious organization on the Navajo Nation. Because as president, you can't take sides. You know what I mean? You can't say so-and-so is better, so-and-so is better. As president, being elected by the entire Navajo Nation, you got to stand for the entire Navajo Nation. So that's one of those things I don't mess around with it. So, and I know I've mentioned I grew up as a Christian, but you know I still go to NAC ceremonies. I go to traditional ceremonies. I go to church every once in I read my mom's Tiniyenga Bizan Bible, and you know I just take all of prayer as something that's good for your foundation at home. Upcoming events, we've got the Miss Navajo happening. Some of you are going to see Ja Rule and Ashanti on Friday. U.S. Senator Kristen Sinema will be here on Friday. We're going to give her a tour of the Navajo Gallup Pipeline as well. And then Diné Development Corporation, they delivered a $500,000 dividend check too. So many kudos to Diné Development Corporation. On Monday, I'll be in Phoenix attending the Four Corners plant owners meeting. Intech has interest in Four Corners power plant, so I'll be there. And then Tuesday, I'll be with Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs at the Grand Canyon with our tribal leaders. And then on Friday, we're going to be hosting the NAU Native American Advisory Board here in Window Rock. So the president and all their staff and all the advisory board members will be here. So again, with that being said, as your president of the Navajo Nation, it's an honor to serve you. I always think about I always tell the young people, be the best role model that you can be so the generations behind you, your relatives, can look up to you. I take those same principles as your Navajo Nation president. Be a president that our little ones can strive to be. You know, President Nygren grew up like this, had nothing, and it was really tough, but he became a person that he is as president. And those values I always like to use, because every single day, I know some wisdom I got from an elder. Assume you've got a set of eyes on you all the time, whether you're sleeping in the dark or by yourself. You got a set of eyes watching you all the time. So if you know that, you'll make the right decisions all the time. So continue to be blessed, and God bless the great Navajo Nation. And I'll see you on the fairgrounds, or I'll see you on Saturday. Hagone.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rochelle Montoya, your Navajo Nation Vice President. Yat e an losko. Hashlishin slot kat nesani e bashishin kitlachi ida shiche tachini ida shinale. Not nail jean da e nashato yat e kidadeshni. All the listeners, all the watchers on Dr. Nygren's Facebook page. I'm saying that slowly because it's a long title that Facebook page has. But I'm here to talk to you today on this Navajo Nation Fair Week. Last night, it was an honor to be invited to and to attend the banquet honoring our parade Grand Marshal, Chief of Gallup Police Department, Erin Pablo. It's always wonderful to share space with her and to talk with her and to go over things that women in leadership still go up against in this day and age. We are in the year 2023, and my Navajo people should be so proud to have made the step forward to elect its first Navajo Nation vice president, and hopefully soon one day to elect our first Navajo Nation president, which is something that we almost accomplished a few years ago when Shade Linda Lovejoy made that glass ceiling break into the general election as a presidential candidate, as a female presidential candidate. And since then, I have come to know so many individuals that are female that have broken barriers across the world as Navajo women, Indigenous women. And so it's such an honor to have Erin as our Chief of Police, Erin as our Grand Marshal for the Navajo Nation Parade, its 75th annual. And it gives a lot to our young women across the Navajo Nation and our young men across Navajo Nation to get used to the idea that women are in leadership. We are in leadership. We are being put in this place to let the female voice be heard across Navajo Nation, across the different entities, the border towns that border the Navajo Nation. As we all know, Gallup Yego, we go to the stores there, we go to the pawn shops there, we get our fuel, our hay, our feed, everything that we possibly need back on the reservation. Gallup is one of the places that we go to get our supplies. There's also Farmington, New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then there's Phoenix, Arizona, Flagstaff, Winslow. All the different border towns across the southwestern region is where we go to. And just recently, I was in Winslow for a dedication to a wind farm, and I met the mayor of that town, and she is a Navajo female. I can't remember her name right now, but we got to chat for a little bit, and it was such a humbling experience to sit one-on-one with another female in leadership. And like I said, we chat, we talk, we share stories, we encourage one another, we give each other loving words to make sure that we are strong enough to continue on in the leadership roles that we have. And that doesn't just go for myself and with the Navajo Nation. We have our 25th Navajo Nation Council, who just elected their first female speaker of the Navajo Nation Council. We also have our Chief Justice Joanne Jane Shade as our Supreme Court Chief Justice. And it's again a humbling experience, because our young women now can actually say skies are the limit for us as female in the Navajo Nation, because we have had and now we have the leadership of female in different departments across the Navajo Nation government. And that just doesn't go for this area. The mother government that we have across the Navajo Nation, we have chapter officials that are female. I've always wanted to know the data on that. When I was my chapter's president, I was the second female to ever be elected to the president's office in my community. The first was Shema Yejet, May Ellen Toledo. And then when I did run for president, there was two other candidates that I ran against, and they were both female. And so we knew that year that we would have a female that would serve as chapter president for our community. And again, there's so many of female across the Navajo Nation that run their chapters, and they're doing their very best in the most positive way that we can. And I really hope that this becomes the norm. This becomes the normal across Navajo Nation. Di kwaiki de kushi naha hastwi ki ja dan lon ki che dan lon ki nalas ki dan lon ki yaj ki ta dan lon ko e kwaiki nahat an deniki de was ko tra don ji sa njno da ila ya jo ben na che ya ko an the Navajo Nation government hello. And so all I can say is, you know, we have a contribution as female, and that's what we're making now. And nin hashchine ketan lingo konkinata jena holta hoko but ya date di hut au eya hawan behastli di hut au eya a sanajilla di hut au eya hona antin hala sa di ni leko but ya date in the most positive way. And this is just another example of what they can accomplish when they get to that point in their lives that they want to give back to their community and help their community. And even nache eya ko ye go eya should see go e nasna na go eya ko shana antien when keep us on the stuff for this. And you know, there's a lot of things that we need to get accomplished across Navajo Nation as far as what we said in our campaign. We said we were going to work on the roads. We said we were going to work on making sure the very basic needs are put in the homes of all of our Navajo people. And ni enantla to kwaiki nasan bakaki biyiti nas ado list. Although we have to have the electricity go across our Mother Earth, we have to do these things in a environment across Navajo Nation where we have valleys and canyons and rocks and whatever else there is out there that we have to go up against to get these needs to our constituents across Navajo Nation. And so when we think about those things, we put in place people in the Navajo Nation government to help help us accomplish those goals. And so we were working on it. And those are some of the things that I listen to and I hear when I'm out and about in our communities. And when I go to the chapters, just like I talked about last night on Live with Lean, we are we went to Old Jato chapter last week and we sat in this extremely hot building. And I thought to myself, this is what our elders worked so hard for all their lives, to be put in a building like this. That's not right. And as Navajo Nation Vice President, we need to make sure that we're going through the departments and seeing where the holdup is to why this facility is not getting the services that they should be getting. It's not a want, it's a need. Our elders are there, they need to get this building in a cool temperature, especially now during the summer. And so those are the type of things that I've been working on as Vice President of the Navajo Nation. And I do my very best to work with our employees that we have. And that's the other thing we have. We don't have a full staff with the Navajo Nation. We have so many vacancies. And that puts a lot of stress on the employees that we do have. And so we have to walk a fine line between let's get these services done, but how many other projects is this one employee working on? And so if anything, and you want to help with the Navajo Nation, you want to be a part of the solution, look at the vacancy listings and see what you can help with if you are not working and you live on the Navajo Nation. And let's see how we can help one another make sure that we get the services that our elders and our children need. I know that when I make that statement, a lot of my generation people say that, what about us? You're forgetting about us. And oh, with all this case, Sheshinanish Hulon do Quagi Shachinadosh so Kedoshinali Keba Hashiango Shibinshra Akodi as Sani dos Tweedo Achinada Dinigi AI is the elders they live on limited incomes, fixed incomes, and our children don't have an income except who their parents are. And unfortunately, as mentioned before, we have children that have lost their parents and they don't have that support that they need. And so that's why I mentioned the elders and the children that we need to help. I really, really hope that this message comes through as a positive way. I'm not complaining about my job. I'm not complaining about the different things that are happening across Navajo Nation. What I want is to be the person that helps with to bring solutions to our people. Vice President and a lot of the things that happen within our Navajo Nation government is due to the policies and procedures that we have. And on here they go but aruk at a quaiki. But other bit we look at a nature who don't need to let's not repeat the mistakes in the past. And we need to work together. We need to be in a collaborative environment with the 25th Navajo Nation Council, the judicial branch of the Navajo Nation, as far as the executive branch. We can't be fighting. We can't be wanting to be right. We can't be wanting to be better than anybody else. We need to work together. We're all human, and the main goal and the focus in each of these governments should be the people. The people first. That should be the forefront of our minds. And that's what I expressed on Live with Lean last night. And so thank you so much for listening to me, Navajo Nation. I have been out and about. I have been doing what I need to do to help my people through the different chapters that I visited in the past week. And this week is Navajo Nation Fair Week. We will be in the Navajo Nation 75th Annual Parade on Saturday. Say hello to us. We'll be at the fairgrounds. I'm very excited to see who the new Miss Navajo Nation will be. And that reasoning is because my daughter was Miss Navajo Nation Autumn Montoya for the year 2018-2019. That is a very proud accomplishment for her, my family, my sisters, my grandmothers, my mothers. It's such a good competition. It's such a good program that we have within the Navajo Nation to showcase our young women that are vying for that title. So good luck to both young women there. We're excited to see who we'll be working with for the next year. As Vice President of the Navajo Nation, I am the supervisor for the office of the of Miss Navajo Nation. So I look forward to working with this new young girl when it comes time. Thank you so much for this time, everybody. Have a good week. And if you're going to the fair, be safe, stay hydrated, keep track of the kiddos. Kiddos, don't run off from your mom and dad. They need to know where you are. And if you see a young child out and about lost, then help them. Take them to the fair office, get them notified that their parents are not within the area, and let's get these kiddos back to their homes in a safe manner. Everyone, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Yet everyone, Shea Apple Branch Sha, people taught Nishlan, Nakai Bushes Jean, Sinajane Dashache, Other Nakai Dashanella. Shea Deneva Washington, Gatit Aitsos, on her 13th Navajo Nation Attorney General. It's great to be here with everyone. First thing I want to talk about today is the opioid settlement. That's probably the biggest thing that's happened in the last 30 days. It's been a little while since I provided an update. So I want to share a little bit about that. We did receive our first payment. That case arose from litigation against opioid manufacturers, distributors, and pharmacies. That payment was received on Monday, August 14th, in the amount of about $63 million. And that's about a quarter of the total amount of funds that the nation's going to receive out of the settlement in our opioids litigation. It's just taking a little bit of time for the judge to collect funds from the various parties that were sued in that litigation. We filed these claims in 2018 when I was the nation's 11th Attorney General, so it's really great to see the nation reaping these benefits from that hard work and litigation. And our next payment will probably come in November. The funds are limited for the use for which they can be made. Number one is essentially, in general, opioids abatement. So things that will prevent opioids from spreading, that will mitigate damages relating to opioids addiction that has occurred in our community, to provide support for folks who are recovering from those addiction issues. And really importantly, and I think really interestingly, it also allows an opportunity to help restore the conditions or improve the conditions in which our people found themselves that kind of led them to opioids addiction. So that could include cultural programming to help our community recover from trauma and just build a stronger community in general that's more resilient and more immune to addiction, especially with respect to opioids. So that's very exciting. I look forward to council creating legislation that will establish a fund for these proceeds to be deposited in and utilized for their purposes. Some other exciting news, our Office of the Prosecutor has a new headquarters. They are now in the Hogan-So building in Fort Defiance / Window Rock at the junction between Indian Route 12 and Highway 264. This facility is going to house our Office of the Chief Prosecutor, Office of the Window Rock Prosecutor, our Major Crimes Unit, and the White Collar Crime Unit. Their phone number is 928-871-6622. I encourage all of you to go visit their new headquarters, see what the space looks like. We also have a new To'Hajiilee Office of the Prosecutor. We are utilizing some space at the To'Hajiilee Community School. That's actually going to house both Office of the Prosecutor as well as DOJ legal and support staff. The phone number for those folks is 928-245-6839. In terms of recruiting, I think the last time I spoke with you, I was talking about some recruiting challenges. Well, we have some success to report to you. Both Office of the Prosecutor and DOJ are actively filling our vacant positions. Office of the Prosecutor had 3 new staff join last month. Ryan Sandoval, a prosecutor dedicated to juvenile justice. Kevin Barnett, who also just passed the New Mexico bar exam. He's going to be an attorney candidate in our Major Crimes Unit. We also have Janelle Laughlin, an investigator for our White Collar Crime Unit, joining as well. And next week, on Monday, we're going to have a new White Collar Crime attorney joining us. For DOJ, Navajo DOJ, we have Kendra Moore, who joined us recently. She's an attorney candidate in our Natural Resources Unit, and we have 2 new attorneys that will be starting later this month to kind of round out the staffing in our litigation unit and add to our Natural Resources Unit. We also have 2 new legal secretaries starting. So all told, we'll have about 9 new staff members, so very exciting. Continue spreading the word and helping us recruit and fill these vacant positions. One thing as we go into the fair season I wanted to raise is just increase public awareness about the healthcare fraud that's happening in Arizona. Right now we're getting ready to roll out a Don't Know, Don't Go campaign. So far we've been occupied with responding to the crisis in the Valley and making sure that our relatives are being transitioned in care to new legitimate providers or being brought back home if they were caught up in this fraudulent situation. But now we're turning to look at more preventative measures. And that's where the Don't Know, Don't Go campaign comes in. So, we are concerned that going into the fair, this might be a ripe recruiting grounds for these entities that are continuing to operate and be enforced against by the state of Arizona. So make sure that you're aware of your surroundings and you're looking out for your family members. Some things to look out for is if someone is asking questions like whether you're Native American, if they're asking about your health care insurance, whether you have access, or if you know other people who need help relating to mental health rehabilitation or substance use rehabilitation. Other things that they might do is offer money or other incentives for someone to get into the vehicle with them, such as promises of free housing, food, gift cards, or we're also starting to see offers of jobs. So be sure to not get into a vehicle with someone you don't know, and make sure your family is aware of this as well. So again, this is the Don't Know, Don't Go campaign, so please help spread the word. And if you or someone you know has been impacted by this situation and need help transitioning to a legitimate care provider or being transported back to the nation, please call our hotline for Operation Rainbow Bridge. That is 1-855-HELP-ORB, or email us at info@operationrainbowbridge.com. And you can learn more information on our Facebook page or our website, which is www.operationrainbowbridge.com. So thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the fair and enjoy the overall celebration of language and culture. Go ahead.
Yat she Justin Ahastinian is Shach Adonet Nishlinigi Belagana and Nishle. Kot the neighbors is Chimbalagana Edashate, Nana Kisani Edashanale, but I'll get that dead Nasha. Hello, my name is Justin Ahastine, and I am the Executive Director for the Navajo Nation Washington office, and I am happy to report that the Navajo Nation Washington office is out and about at the fairgrounds right now, meeting with our community members to answer any questions that folks may have as it relates to federal policy issues. So while I'm here, I wanted to just update everyone on some of the work that the Navajo Nation Washington office has been doing. One of the biggest things that we were able to accomplish within the last 30 days was being able to secure a $5 million grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And what this grant funding will actually go towards is to help our farmers and ranchers in partnerships with the Navajo agricultural production industry to do a food procurement and distribution program. So with this grant, we're going to be able to take some of the local indigenous foods for this region, whether that's beans, flour, corn, and we're going to be able to create food packages. So we're going to be working with the Navajo Department of Health on getting those packages together, and it's going to be part of the food distribution program. So that's kind of what we have been working with the USDA. Also, we've also been working on issues to address some of the dual taxation to support some of our small businesses. So we've been engaging with the Navajo Nation Council as well as our congressional delegation to try to find solutions to address dual taxation and to also discuss tax parity. We continuously advocate for equal or equitable taxation, and we acknowledge that there are several beneficial provisions in one of the acts that we're trying to work with the senator from Nevada, Senator Cortez Masto, to introduce the Native American Tax Parity and Relief Act of 2023. It may not cover all of the aspects of federal taxation, but it is a movement in the right direction. So hopefully we'll be able to get that out and introduced out in Congress, and we can start building momentum on making sure that tribal communities have equitable tax incentives to help build our revenue and continue throughout economic development. We've also been working with the White House Council on Native American Affairs to protect sacred sites. We've been involved in a series of consultations that discuss how to manage these protected sites. And one of the biggest things that we've been advocating for, and which is one of President Nygren's top priorities, is to ensure that tribal sovereignty is respected and that we conduct consultation in a meaningful manner, and it's not just a check-in-the-box approach, which historically has been challenging, especially given the stance of the federal government at times in trying to push regulations through. So we want to ensure that tribal consultation is meaningful. And what do we mean by meaningful? That means giving tribes advance notice, making sure that we have all of the materials to review, all of the regulations that are being discussed, and then giving us adequate time to respond to that. We run into issues where there are some tribes who are not as large as the Navajo Nation who have to answer to all of the consultations that are out there. So if the Navajo Nation is struggling, the tribe that may have 400 to 500 enrolled members is definitely struggling. So we want to promote meaningful consultation, and then knowing what the federal government is going to be doing with the information that we do provide or the recommendation that we do provide. So we want to take this as more of an approach to actually make sure that tribal voices are heard and understood, and then getting a report back from the federal government on how they're going to take our recommendations and put that into the federal decision-making process. Other things that we have been working on, I wanted to report on some of the success that we've had with the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act amendments. President Nygren and Speaker Curley were out in DC earlier at late July to help our post-71 1971 uranium miners advocate for inclusion and expansion of the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. And this would provide one-time compensation to uranium miners, workers, millers, and downwinders who meet the criteria from their activity, from the federal government's uranium mining activities and their contributions working in the uranium mines. So the update for this is the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act amendments were actually approved as an amendment in the National Defense Authorization Act from the Senate. Now, the House and the Senate have two different versions of the National Defense Authorization Act. So because there are two different versions, these have to go through what is called a conferencing committee, where the House and the Senate both identify individuals to sit in a conference and to go through the different provisions, and then they either accept or deny or amend specific provisions or amendments that have been included in the different versions of the bills. So we're hopeful that the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act will make it through and be part of the overall National Defense Authorization Act. Congress has just gotten back into, will be in session next week. So we're hopeful to continue those relationships and continue to advocate for our post-1971 mining community. Other things, we just wanted to really express our sincere appreciation to our Navajo leadership, which includes President Buu Nygren, as well as our Vice President Rochelle Montoya and Speaker Crystalline Curley of the Navajo Nation Council, and all of our members of the 25th Navajo Nation Council. Their unwavering commitment and dedication have been instrumental in being able to guide some of the work that we do. So we just wanted to make sure that we take the time to appreciate them and everything that they're doing. As we move forward, the Navajo Nation Washington office remains committed to serving our Navajo people, and we continue to work tirelessly to uphold our Navajo Nation sovereignty, to secure our resources, and to address the key issues affecting our people. Our mission is to ensure that the voices of the Navajo people are heard at all levels of government, and we will not stop until that is achieved. So that's the update that we have for you this week. If you haven't subscribed to our Washington Weekly, I suggest that you do, and you can do that at www.nnwo.org. And if you are in the DC area and you want to meet with our office, there is a scheduling feature on our new website, and you can schedule a meeting with a member of our team or myself directly. And I hope to see the rest of you at the fair. So come on down to the President's Tent, and if you have any questions, we stand ready to answer them. Thank you.